Well, everybody, welcome back to Every Man Has a Story. I've got my new friend Richard back on. He was on last week, and it was such an interesting interview. But we were having all this internet trouble with it buffering and cutting out and freezing, and it got to the point, even though I posted the video, that it was really kind of too difficult to watch. So Richard was kind enough to try and edit it himself, and even that didn't work. So he's actually going to give us some more time today. We're going to go through a lot of things we talked about last time, but also some new things.
Most of the year, 10 months out of the year, I live in Cagayan de Oro, which is on the Mindanao Island. We've got a rental house there because we're building a home on a lot. Got a couple other lots that we may switch our plans with, but right now my official home is Cagayan de Oro.
And you're married to a twin Filipina, and your brother is married to her sister. Is that right?
My brother-in-law, yes.
Your brother-in-law is married to her sister, and right now in your house, you've got both girls, both ladies living in the same house, and they're lovely. You introduced me to them last time, so that's really something too.
Yeah, they're right around here. Emma's over here in the living room, and my wife just went downstairs for a second. Maybe they'll jump on here and say hi later. But yeah, they're very beautiful Filipinas. They're both 55. I'm 61. We get along great. I think it's a good example that no matter what age these Filipinos are, they really age really well, and they're always very beautiful.
That's so true.
Culture, yeah.
Now, is your brother-in-law planning on coming to the Philippines at all and living there? Or is he going to stay in Chicago?
Yes, he is. He's a little younger than I am, so he's got a few more years. Plus he plans on retiring around 65, but he's going to go to Cagayan de Oro. They've got some land next to ours in our, we call it a little farmland, because I don't think we'll ever build a house there, but we've got a farm on it, and they may build there, but they may not. They may just pick somewhere else. We're going to go into a subdivision and just go out to the farm and have a bunch of vegetables all the time. So,
Now, how long have you been married?
8 years.
Oh,
8 years. We've been together 10 years, and she was in the U.S. When I met her, which was amazing because I'd been to the Philippines 11 times before that. I love to go over there on vacation. I always thought, man, I'm gonna meet a Filipina, and I really didn't think I'd meet her in Chicago, but I met her here.
Well, that's really a coincidence.
It is.
I had mentioned on another video about a friend of mine's moving over to the Philippines. I said, yeah, you should bring your furniture, because mentioning you, I said, my friend sent his furniture over there just fine, and I've never been able to find good furniture over here. This guy messaged me back, with kind of a nasty comment. Well, you don't know what you're talking about, and there's lots of nice furniture in the Philippines, and there's no reason to send your furniture over. And I just disagree with that, because if you've got nice stuff, how are you going to find? You're not going to find a replacement in the Philippines.
Oh, I will tell you, my wife she's part of 15 brothers and sisters, and she has the twin, and we all had talked about that before, and this was 2 years ago when I sold my house and was going to move the furniture or sell the furniture. My wife said from the very beginning, oh, absolutely not. We're sending our furniture over there. You can't get this kind of quality in the Philippines. And I know that, and I've been traveling over there for years. And if you want anything that's leather or big size like I am, if you want Filipino size furniture, then yeah, they all have the short backs, where your shoulder hits about halfway up the back couch. You get a whiplash, you go back too far. They have nice furniture, but it's a little smaller. And like we talked about a couple weeks ago, if you've got $50,000 or $60,000 worth of furniture, why not put it on a container and spend $5,000 to $8,000? You can do it. You don't have to spend. You call a mover, they'll charge you $15,000.
Yeah.
But if you want to send your own stuff over there and do it through a mover, I did it through a mover in Houston. I took all my stuff down to Houston from Longview, Texas, which is just outside of Dallas. my brother and I took it down there. That was kind of a hassle. It cost about $500 to U-Haul down there, but we did. And amazingly enough, I thought I've moved a lot in my life, and I've
Yeah.
Mayflower, Atlas, everybody has picked up my stuff. Oh, there you got a super sticker.
Yeah. Thank you.
$5. Thank you, Howard. Every time they sent something, one time I lost all my videotapes, back in the day. Another time I lost all my music. I had albums and LPs, and then another time I had the mirrors got broken on the on an antique from my grandmother, which was very hard. But I found in Houston we replaced the glass. But this time, going all the way to the Philippines, even though the containers, got shut down during the COVID because containers went to China and they never came back. That's why it took so long to get there. This time, my wife unwrapped everything when it got there, and we didn't have anything broken, and we didn't have anything missing. And all of our furniture was wrapped in plastic. It was just, well, they're really good workers. They know what they're doing. They wrap that stuff great, and nobody stole anything, and everything got there in one piece. And I had 5 TVs, and all 5 TVs got there. And I had originally shipped a couple TVs out to we've got a family home that we share with some other people out on the ocean. And we sent 2 TVs there, and they got there just fine. So I've had really good experience shipping stuff to the Philippines, and at a very good price. I shipped 2 TVs over there for $175. That's not bad.
Bad at all. That's not bad at all. Yeah. And my mother sent me a little box of shirts the other day, FedEx, and it cost her $150.
I know.
Like it weighed nothing. That was sent FedEx.
What got me thinking about it is I was a Best Buy manager at the end of my career, and I thought, I'm unloading these trucks with these guys every day, and all these TVs are coming from Korea, Samsung, and these others are coming. Sony's coming from Japan. We're still able to sell these for a pretty darn good price, and we're shipping them all the way from over there because they don't have manufacturing plants in the USA. They ship 5 Samsung plants in Korea. So I thought, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And it worked out really well.
And also, so tell me a little bit. You have a YouTube channel that you've just launched or going to launch soon, and it has to do with trading stocks and doing certain things with stocks. And you were telling me about you're going to have a course and everything last time, and it sounds really, really interesting. Tell me a little bit more about that, and we'll also be putting a link in here. You don't have to send it to me again because I don't have it, but send me a link to anything you want on there, and just tell us a little bit about your strategy with stocks, because I think it's really interesting.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because I am about to launch it. When we had our video the other day, even though there was a lot of interruptions, a lot of people wanted my email, and they were contacting me, and I've talked to a lot of them, letting them know that I'm going to launch the channel here probably while I'm in quarantine in Cebu after July 19th. But by August 1st, it'll be live, and it's called Trading with Rich. And the whole idea behind it is I've been trading options and buying stocks for years. Of course, in the 80s, I used E-Trade and others, and I was real happy with $4.95 a trade. And, later, through the different companies I worked for, you'd have to buy and sell stock through their brokers and pay $19.95 for a trade. Now the online brokers came out, and they've got $1 a trade for options, and they don't charge anything if you buy full stocks. It has really become a very low commission type of environment for trading stocks. So really, you used to worry about how much your commissions were. Today, you really worry about which stocks to pick. And on top of that, I have been trading options since the 1980s. They actually came out in the calls came out in the 70s, and puts came out in the late 80s. And I was trading in the very beginning, calls and puts. So I've had a lot of experience with it. Took some time off from doing it because I was putting 3 kids through college. But when I started it again about 7 or 8 years ago, I still have 1 child and 1 boy in college. But when I started doing it again, everybody started asking what I was doing. And I told them, well, I'm basically, the strategy is you rent out your stocks. So it's like owning a condo that you rent out. So if you have a $200,000 condo, Are you going to sell it just because it went down $20,000 or $30,000 in value one year over the next year? No, you're going to hold it. It's the same idea with stock. Buy the stock, hold it, buy something that you want to keep 3 to 5 years. I do a lot of Facebook, Alibaba, Microsoft. You know, I don't get into the too many. I may have one or two of the less than S&P 500 companies, but it's really not about which stock you own. Pick the best ones that you want to live with for the next 3 to 5 years, and then you write calls on that, and we can talk about calls and puts very, very shortly. But the end result is you can actually cover most of your stock losses in a year if you want to sell by actually writing the premiums. And if you don't have a stock loss, then you're making money on top of that. I started teaching. I called it the long view because I was in Longview, Texas. I said it's the long view of Texas, and any Best Buy employee that wants to come in after hours, and we'll sit down and talk, and we'll go through it. Next thing I know, I got like 25 of them in there, and they're bringing friends and family, and we're taking up the break room. I said, there's a real interest in this. I have one young man. He's posted it out on Facebook. He's made it perfectly clear what happened. He started learning 5 years ago. He put it on Facebook in January, and I'm going to share that with my channel. He started with $2,000, and his broker account. He's at $1,400,000, and the young man is 28 years old.
Wow, that is fantastic! Wow,
yeah, it's amazing. I wish I'd done half that well. Here I am mentoring him and teaching him all along, which way to go with different things, and he didn't get crazy. He wasn't buying penny stocks. He just hit a few good things, and it turned out really well. We both hit the AMC biscuit they gave us back in January. I mean, he had a lot. I had a lot. I had some of mine covered with a covered call, so I didn't make as much. I doubled my money because I had a covered call out there at twice the amount. But I had half of my stock did not have any calls on it, so this silly thing went up. $2.50 to $20 in one day.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to have a YouTube channel that actually live streams, and I'm going to show my computer screen as we're doing the live stream, through some software I have. And I'm going to show them how to buy the stock, how to sell the stock, how to buy options, how to look at options, how to price the premiums on options, whether you'd want to do a call or a put. The whole market is based on calls and puts, and there's nothing fancy to it. It's what banks do every day. I mean, mutual funds take your money, and they let you keep your money if it goes up or goes down, but they never share with you the premiums that they make by doing calls and puts. And the estimate out there is 60% of all the banks and mutual funds are doing 60% of the money is being put on puts. And you hear about all the shorts that the hedge funds do. They're playing with your money, and just like with the Tesla deal, a lot of our mutual funds took a big hit because these guys were shorting Tesla when it decided to skyrocket. Those kind of things I'm not involved in. I am not going to short stock. I'm going to do the conservative things that I really don't lose money on. As a covered call, you can't lose money on it through the actual option. What you lose money on is the actual stock price. It can go down. Like I tell all my students when we're talking about this stuff is, hey, look at it. It's like it's a Best Buy store. This is your inventory. You paid so much for it. That's your inventory cost. Now let's make some money off that inventory. Now, when you decide to sell that stuff 3 to 5 years from now, you should be selling when it's above the price. When it's below the price, sit on it. When it goes above the price, then you got an option of selling it or keeping it. But that's exactly what Kevin did. And Kevin wants to come on my channel and tell everybody how he did. I trained an old asset manager, Lee. He's terrible at computers. He couldn't punch anything. Lee's retired, and he's telling me he's doing fantastic trading. Didn't have a lot of money, only had a couple $1,000s, but he's turned it into about $200 a month in monthly income, which is great.
Nice, nice little bonus there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You didn't have a lot of money to do it. Yeah.
Especially if you're on Social Security, an extra $200 a month really helps out.
No, exactly. And the way mine works, I'm not even collecting Social Security yet. But the way mine works, I mean, I'm obviously making a lot more doing this than, in my IRAs and my other portfolios than I will from Social Security. So the whole plan is I needed something to do and stay busy. And I've always been doing this, as soon as I turned 59 and a half, I moved my 401k out of Fidelity and put it into my broker account. And I've been managing my own money since then. So yeah, I liken it, Mark, to I put an analogy of the banking system. Think about it. At Best Buy, well, first of all, at a bank, Citibank, how much do you think they're going to pay you for savings, right?
Yeah,
Nothing.
1% or less, or nothing.
Right.
But
1%.
aren't some banks, especially in Europe, talking about negative interest rate where they'll charge you to keep your money?
Japan's doing it already.
Yeah.
So look at it this way. How much does Citibank charge for a Best Buy credit card? Oh, there's no secret to that. It's always 24.99. I remember when it went from 17.99 to 24.99, and we had to come up with new talking points to convince people that that was a good deal. 25% interest on buying a TV. And it's amazing enough that people just didn't care. Now, they would take part of that money and they would give it back to Best Buy customers as the 5% gift certificates. So if you bought a $1,000 TV, you got a $50 gift certificate. That's fantastic. That's great. But you paid $250 in interest for the year if you held it very long. But if the company can make 25%, the bank make 25% and only pay you less than one, somebody's making some money in there.
Yeah.
We as Americans need to understand that there's a system out there, and we need to be a part of it. And what we want to be is the bank. We don't want to keep being the purchaser. So owning stock means you own shares of businesses. You are invested in the American economy, the Chinese economy, wherever you're buying stuff from. If you're buying Nokia, you're invested in Finland. I buy Alibaba, JD.com, Baidu. I'm invested in the Chinese economy. When I'm investing in Ford, these are ones that I do own. Ford, General Motors, Toyota. I'm investing in Japan. You're invested in a company. Sit on it. Let it grow. If it falls down a little bit, don't freak out. You're going to keep making, 1 or 2%. I like to say that we make between 2 and 4% every month, and on our return on investment, and it's actually better than that. But that's what I like to tell people when we look into this. I'm not making any guarantees, because if you start selling your stock when you're losing money, then because you need to pay the rent or you decided to take a vacation, I can't do anything about that. But if you leave your money in the market, you can trade, and our government has allowed us to do this with our IRAs and our Roths. It allows us to do it with our margin accounts. These kind of things weren't available 10 years ago. And I just think people don't know about it. And if I can do anything to pay it forward, I've been very fortunate in my life. I've always had great jobs, always had great insurance. And I understand people are coming over to the Philippines with, maybe just a pension on their Social Security. And a couple $100 would really help that pension. If you're bringing in $1,400, which is the American average, shoot, I can show you how to make a couple $100 every month and really not have that much invested to do that. So
yeah. So are you going to be able to do all the things you're doing now from when you're in the Philippines? It's not going to affect you, like the time difference or anything, or make it more difficult, or?
Yes and yes. Yes, I will be able to do it. There's a time difference of 13 hours between Cayenne and Central Time. So does it make it more difficult? Well, it depends on whether or not you want to actually do. I do a lot of trading on Friday afternoon from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock before closing bell. Closing bell is 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon. So that'll be between 2 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the morning in the Philippines. So I usually do my setups first thing in the morning for the trades. I'll take a look at them. I'll pop in some opening orders. It's things I know that aren't going to really take yet, but I'm waiting for the time value of money to evaporate on the last day of a call option. you set a strike price for the last day. It's always Friday, and on that last day, at 8:30 when the market opens up, you may have $300 in a $2,000 trade. You may have $300 still sitting there that you owe somebody if you get out of that trade. You have a contract with somebody across the table because you actually are. There's always somebody across the table. There's no bank. You're dealing with other people, and they don't want to let go of it. They think for some reason that Facebook is going to hit 335 by 3 o'clock, but it's only at 3:15 right now. They don't want to let go of it. They don't want to let you out of your obligation. Well, between 8:30 and about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they start to have reality sit in, and they're like, oh boy, it looks like I'm going to lose everything. So on the other side, and remember, I'm the bank. I'm renting out my shares. It's not going to get to 335. They start dropping their price, 300, 200, 150, 100. So I got to be awake to be able to make that trade. Now, what I'll do a lot of the times is just let it go right past 3 o'clock, and I'll just collect 100% of the premium and not negotiate with anybody. I'll just keep it. But when it's close, like Kronos was last week, it was like $8.04, and I had it set at $8. Well, either I let my stock go at $8 or I negotiate with the person and get out of my contract. Well, you got to be awake to do that. So I was doing that between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock this last Friday. That means I would have been, between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, I would have been doing that in the Philippines. You can trade when you're out of the country. It's not, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But you do need to have when you set up your accounts, your IRAs, all that kind of stuff, you do need to live in the U.S. If you're overseas, then you set up your IRAs in whatever country you're in. But all mine are set up in the U.S. All my banks are in the U.S. I am not a dual citizen. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm going to keep it that way. There's no reason for me to ever become dual citizen in the Philippines. But I will get a permanent resident card because I'm married to a Filipina.
Wow. Yeah, when I was working on cruise ships back in the 90s, I had some of my friends that were making good money, and they decided to be day traders when they weren't working on the ships. And so they get the computer and everything, and, the time the market was doing well. And some of them lost a bunch of money because, they think they know what they're doing, and they really don't. And, for me, this all sounds wonderful, but I don't, it sounds like it'd be way above my abilities.
You need to do this for a good 6 months to a year before you start investing heavy amounts of money. A lot of these trading firms that are teaching people on the internet, they'll tell you to do paper. I never believe in paper trading. I think you need to do it with your own money. It's just a personal feeling on my part. I tell all my people, especially over the years, the young people, I said, put a couple $100 in there because you make different decisions when it's your own money than if you're doing it. Oh, you
do. Yeah, you really do.
Like, this isn't like fake blackjack on online poker. This is the real thing. And if you lose $40, you need to hurt. And you need to know that you made a mistake and how you did that. And day trading, I remember when they first started that, back in the 80s, and everybody was quitting their jobs to day trade. And day trading is just basically buying the stock first thing in the morning and trying to get out of it before the end of the day.
Right.
It's tough. If anybody tells you they know which way the stock market is going on any particular stock, you need to run as fast as you can because it's a 50-50 proposition no matter how much due diligence you do. I mean, I double check the management of the company. I'm looking for news about the company or future things. I'm looking for regulatory issues that may be coming up, kind of like what's happening right now with the die situation in China, where they're kind of giving the old Mark Zuckerberg grilling like we did with Facebook back in January where Zuckerberg had to go to Congress. Zuckerberg and Facebook dropped about $30 a share when he was going through all that for no reason at all. They're just, both sides were grilling him. Democrats thought he was, too easy on the Republicans, and the Republicans thought that he was, being too easy on the Democrats. So he had a no-win situation. But you look at the government, then you got to look at the regulatory things like EPA and other different things that might be affecting a company, especially with all these new industries like, the batteries for these electric cars and all that kind of stuff. And then I look at the trailing 12 months of P&E, which this last 2 years, everybody's kind of forgot about price to earnings, but somebody's got to pay the piper. I mean, you can't just keep losing money. At some point, you're going to go under. And these companies that just keep losing money, but their stock keeps going up, I stay away from those. It's just, I think my stock will end up being zero when they decide to get out. And I remember people like Braniff. I remember the Sears. I used to work for Sears. Used to work for Radio Shack. These companies are no longer with us. I used to work for Circuit City. Kind of have the kiss of death when it comes to working for big companies. But I did work for Walmart and Best Buy. They're still around.
Well, isn't it true that some of these big traders, like in New York, that it's all done by computers now, and like especially these big trades, and that they actually, I heard that one company moved like 2 blocks closer to the trading center in New York just to gain like a tiny fraction of a second on their trades. And so, you talk about on the other side of the table, the other people that you're competing against are, supercomputers and stuff too, that, how can you beat them at the game? It seems like they would have the edge on you.
That is so true. And that's why you need to know how the game is being played. Back in the 80s, and I don't quote me on these numbers, but I've looked it up, and it was something like, I don't know, 3 million trades were being done a day back in the 80s. And the computers were not nearly as involved. You had to go through the E-Trades and the Fidelities of the world. Today, look at Alibaba. The darn thing's, moving 5-6 million stocks a day. It has 300 times the amount. We're doing trillions of trades. You can't physically do that with a bunch of human beings. We don't have that many more people than we did back in the 80s. So the computers are actually pre-programmed. They have algorithms, and they know when their stop orders are. They know when their limits are. They know, what kind of bids they need to make. What we have to be careful of is when you're looking at the overnight markets, those computers are playing games with us. I honestly believe that. I've seen it over and over again. I don't play with the overnight market. I wait till it's live, and then I see where it's heading. Because at 8:30, when the market opens, everybody will tell you, boy, it takes off. From 8:30 to 8:45, 8:50, it takes off. Those are all the computers generating orders. They're buying, they're selling. These hedge funds have got them loaded. Yeah, it's hard to compete with that. But you play with that. You understand that, the computers are going to do something here at 8:30. Let's see what they're going to do. Once they're done, I may jump right in the middle of it at 8:35. If they've caused something to crash, and I've got it on my hit list, maybe I have some puts on it, and I see, and I'm trying to buy the stock, see it crashes at 8:35 because, they took some bit of information that was out on the internet, some maybe even fake news. I honestly believe that 90% of the news you get out there anymore is fake. Nobody ever apologizes for giving you bad news 2 weeks later. They just tell you that, the times have changed. But yeah, Mark, you have to know, I think you can compete with it. It's nothing we can do about it, but you're right. I did hear that same story about being able to transmit at 8:30, and even they trade in the pre-market hours. They'll trade at 7 o'clock. They're trying to get just a few seconds, just a minuscule fraction of a second over the other computer that's trying to do a bid and ask. Because remember, it's all about bid and ask. So they'll bid, they'll ask for something, somebody will make a bid, they'll redo it. Well, computers can do that a lot faster than we can. And
well, do you believe that there's certain groups or powers that be or whatever that are actually manipulating the market? And Morgan, those guys during that era, the early 1900s, J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, all those guys, they were doing all kinds of dirty tricks back then. I remember hearing about one of them during, I think it was World War I or something. They actually went into the stock market and spread a rumor that was not true, that they had lost the war or something, and the market started crashing, and he just sat there and waited. When it got down to a certain point, he had his people already planted. They were buying up stocks. Things like that have been done in the past when it was easier, and there must be people out there today trying to manipulate the system.
Oh, absolutely. I watch John Greathouse. He has a channel. He has a famous line. I just love it. He goes, they drive it up just so they can sell it and buy it back from you when it falls. And it's like, oh, that's so true. These hedge fund managers, you got to be careful what you listen to from these analysts because they work for banks and they work for hedge fund managers. And they'll come out with some price target that's ridiculous, trying to drive the price up. Well, watch what happens at that same bank, a month later after that price has been driven up. They sell the bejeebers out of it. And, then the price falls because price always falls when there's a whole bunch of people buying it. Selling it. When people are selling it, prices drop. When people want to buy it, it's supply and demand, and it goes up. And they will drive it up, and when it goes down, they'll rebuy it, and then they'll make money off us. We're called retail investors. We're not the guys sitting at their trade tables doing the same thing we're doing, but they're doing it for major companies. And, a lot of these, I hate to say it, but, when you really look into it, some of these analysts have only been out of college for a year. They're being told by their bosses what to actually do. It's like every other corporate office job. You got to do what the boss says, and they'll publish things that just don't have a lot of merit. And that's what I think they're trying to do is drive it up. Now,
What's your feeling about like cryptocurrencies? How do you think that's a big scam? You think it's the future? Are you invested in that?
I'm with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger on this one.
Okay.
I think it's the biggest Ponzi scheme that's ever been invented. People can buy whatever they want to buy, but when you don't have anything to back that up, there's no gold standard behind that. There's no gold standard behind our American dollar either. That Nixon took that away in 1972. We are not backed by gold on our dollar, but I trust the American government, using the dollar as a standard. Now, will the yuan sometime in the future be the American standard? It might. The Chinese are becoming quite big in this world. I hope it doesn't. I hope it stays with the dollar. But the cryptocurrency, just watching what happened in the last 2 weeks, and when it goes from 50,000 down to 35,000 in a heartbeat, and nobody can explain why. Elon Musk is out there causing things to jump up and down. But whatever he says, the way I look at that is he should just stick with Tesla, making stuff jump up and down. But he started to do that with the cryptocurrency.
Yeah, Dogecoin.
Yeah, these guys are showing up on Ferraris and Bugattis and all these other fancy cars, all these places saying they're making all their money off cryptocurrency. It looks like a one of those MMM multi level systems, and I will never touch it. I'm not. I hate you even doing forex and comparing the peso in the Philippines against the American dollar. Wish I'd done that because the peso went up to 50. I hear. But forex is one thing. You're watching the movement of the Japanese or the Chinese currency or the Filipino currency against our currency. That's one thing. But to buy crypto, I don't get it. I understand how it works. Shoot, I remember selling computers like there was no tomorrow to all these people trying to mine for crypto coins. They were buying 20 computers at a time, and in their basement they were cranking out crypto coins.
Yeah,
they don't do that anymore. Yeah, but who's mining most of the crypto is the Chinese.
Well, I heard they're actually buying shut down power plants, firing them back up again, and putting in thousands of computers just to mine cryptocurrency. So it's crazy.
In China, I don't know if that's really happening, but would not surprise me one bit. And
it's happening in America.
In America, I don't want to be a part of that. Yeah,
well,
American companies that are trying to, make a dollar by building a car or, building a TV in Korea. I'm good with that. Even Facebook with, everything's information and buying ads and selling information. I'm good with that. I'm not good with cryptocurrency.
Now you were talking about companies making money, losing money, and how you decide what to buy. I remember back in the 90s, like Amazon was losing money hand over fist. And I thought, how are they ever going to make money selling books?
It was a book company.
Yeah, how are they ever going to make money? And, I was totally wrong about that. I didn't buy into Amazon at all. And then with Facebook, I said, well, when's the last time anybody ever bought anything on Facebook? I said, I never spent any money on Facebook. And what I didn't realize is with Facebook, you are the product.
Right.
They're not selling you anything. They're selling you to somebody else.
Right.
You know, going back to cryptocurrencies, I kind of compare it to what was going on in the 90s with the dot-com craze. Remember, there was all these dot-com stocks out there that everybody was dumping their money in, like, you know, the pet one and all these things. And I think it's the same thing with cryptocurrency. I think maybe 90% of them or more are just going to end up being worthless. And there might be a couple of golden nuggets out there, you know, like maybe Bitcoin will continue on and Ethereum, but I kind of agree with you on a lot of that. Yeah.
Everybody told me at the 2000, you know, Y2K, oh, you got to buy all these internet companies. They're the next best thing since sliced bread. And I remember those companies. The only one I can remember that even made it was Yahoo. Everybody, you know, the thing that always got me when everybody jumps on something, it's called FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I'm talking with my buddies, I'm in several chat rooms where we discuss, and I even pay for some chat rooms, some pretty good money to be involved with, you know, experts. And everybody has an opinion, but it's always funny that when something's published in the paper or on the news or comes through CNN or whatever, everybody gets this fear of missing out, and they jump into these things without any research. And when you start looking into it, you say, man, that company hasn't made any money since the beginning. What's their future? And of course, that's what you're looking for, is you're buying stock for the future. And if it looks like it has a pretty good trend heading towards profitability, then great. But, you know, there have been a heck of a lot of them that didn't have, you know, a good curve towards profitability. And next thing you know, 2 or 3 years later, they're done. And
kind of out of time here. I really enjoyed speaking to you, and you've got such useful information, and I appreciate your time. I hope we can do this again. And if I don't talk to you before now and when you go to the Philippines, best of luck. Hope you have a safe trip, and I hope that we can actually get together, you know, when you're over here, because I've been to Mindanao. It's not that far from here. You can take a ferry over there or a flight over, and we can meet in person. But best of luck with everything, and everybody watching out there, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you for the super stickers. Really appreciate it. If you want to share this video on Facebook, that would help Richard and I both. And I'll be posting a link to his YouTube channel as soon as it's ready. Even if this video has been out for a couple of weeks, I'll add it in there later. And did you want me to put your email on the description?
Yeah, that'd be fine. It's actually very easy. It's the same as my YouTube channel. It's Trading with Rich, all one word. tradingwithrich@yahoo.com. And so I will answer you back. I got a lot of emails on that last one, Mark, and I appreciate, you know, the exposure to your channel. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So we're going to end it right now, and we'll still be connected for a couple minutes afterwards, so don't go away. So thanks again for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye.